So you can have everything, but he wasn't after it. That was it.
And I think I'm also realizing that there's so much love to give. And so many people.
멋있다.
뒤로 밀었다가 내쉬면서 등 조이면서 가슴 끌어올려줍니다. 3번 더 마시고 셋, 넷, 어깨 너무 멀리
Herbstferien.
Ja.
Apartment? Nein.
Nein. I will ask my
It
neighbor where
was,
she is now.
I think it was always a pharmacy.
Bonjour. What is La Pluque?
Oh, it's a little term of
너무 많은가? 내가 그냥 먹어야겠다. 이거 맛있다.
Okay.
Quelle métamorphose, très belle.
Merci.
Emily has just arrived from America.
Antoine Lambert and my wife Catherine. Enchanté.
Enchanté here as well.
Antoine, of course, owns Maison Lavaux and is best known in France.
Well, it's very symmetrical. Perspective on things from a marketing point of view.
And how do things look from that point of view?
I think you have an amazing, sexy product that could practically induce pregnancy in older women. I mean, it's part of the reason why I'm here.
Sorry.
Never mind, sorry, it's a long story.
Please. I'm curious.
Well, I do think we can do much more on social. Last year at my company, we marketed a vaccine to help combat the chikungunya virus. And saturated the web with such gorgeous content, we were actually responsible for increasing tourism in the Virgin Islands by 30%. If you Google tropical beach vacation, paradise, or even topless beach selfies, you were directed to our product. Oh, and the best thing is, we can track everything. Who use what, when, where, and for how long.
About work and party?
He asked me.
Well, then you change the subject. We're to soirée, not comfortable. Oh,